Namaskar, good evening. You're watching the News Hour at 9 and I am Swati Joshi. Viewers, on the 10th of June here on News Hour, we told you for the first time on Indian television that a massive cabinet rejig, a shake-up was up on the cards. And we followed that story relentlessly. We broke every minute detail related to the development to keep you ahead. And today it is rush hour in the national capital as the buzz is only getting louder. Sources are telling your channel that the cabinet reshuffle will happen tomorrow in the evening between 5:30 to 6 p.m. and the probables already have started flying in the national capital. Before we get you more details, in the next half an hour, we'll get you all the inside scoop on the cabinet reshuffle, the cabinet expansion or the rejig. Before that, let's take a look at the probables who are going to make it to the cabinet. This is the list of the probables. Let's quickly take a look at the names. Rajveer Singh, constituency Etah; Pankaj Chaudhary, constituency Maharajganj; Anupriya Patel, Mirzapur; Narayan Rane is Rajya Sabha MP from Maharashtra from the Konkan region; Seema Dwivedi, Rajya Sabha MP from Uttar Pradesh from Jaunpur; Rajkumar Ranjan Singh, constituency Manipur; Sankladeep Rajbhar, Rajya Sabha MP from Uttar Pradesh from Balia; Rakesh Singh, constituency Jabalpur; Varun Gandhi, constituency Pilibhit; Nisit Pramanik, constituency Cooch Bihar; Shantanu Thakur, constituency Bangaon; Brijendra Singh, constituency Hisar. And when we asked questions to some of those who we managed to catch, the probables are extremely tight-lipped, but the JDU is expecting cabinet berths this time around. So listen to what the JDU is saying.
मैं एमपी हूँ तो दिल्ली आना ही पड़ता है। अभी सेशन के पहले हम लोग आ जाते हैं इधर।
सर 15 दिन पहले।
हाँ,
आज कोई विशेष कारण आने का? आज कोई विशेष?
अरे विशेष देखिए, एक बात देखो, विशेष कुछ होगा तो जरूर बताएंगे। आपको कोई छुपा सकते हैं क्या? कुछ बात छुपा नहीं सकते। कुछ वक्त मुझे दो, मैं आपसे बात करूँ।
जनता दल यूनाइटेड केंद्रीय विस्तार में, मंत्रिमंडल के विस्तार में शामिल होगी। यही संकेत हम आपको बताएंगे और थोड़ा इंतजार कर लीजिए, सब आपको स्पष्ट दिखाई देगी।
तो क्या मतलब जो भी आपको ऑफर किया जाएगा आप उसी पे शामिल होने के लिए तैयार हैं?
नहीं, हमारा एनडीए पहले भी माने कि पूरे मजबूती के साथ है, केंद्र में भी और राज्य सरकार में भी पूरे भागीदारी में हम लोग रहे हैं, एक साथ रहे हैं। ये हिस्सेदारी की बात नहीं होती, ये हम लोग माने कि मन मिजाज से रहते हैं एक साथ माने, और उसमें हम लोग केंद्र में भी और यहाँ भी सरकार अच्छी ढंग से चल रही है और आगे भी चलेगी।
However, what set the ball rolling was the appointment of 8 new governors, which in fact is being seen as a precursor to the cabinet expansion. The message is Sabka Saath, Sabka Vishwas. Let's take a look at the message that has been given through the governor's appointment. Message number 1, respect to Jat leaders as there are currently 3 governors from this community. Message number 2, equal representation of the SC community. Message number 3, more power to tribal community. Message number 4, hailing crusaders of OBC aspirations. Message number 5, honoring leading lights of Muslim community. And message number 6 is bridging the north-south divide. But the opposition has called this big move a political gimmick ahead of the upcoming state polls.
This exercise becomes immaterial because the country doesn't gain anything out of it. We've seen in the past 7 years, we've seen no cabinet of this particular government has been able to deliver on any promise.
सुना है केंद्र में मंत्रिमंडल का विस्तार होने जा रहा है। दरअसल में ये चुनावी विस्तार है। मंत्री भी यहाँ चुनावी बनेंगे। प्रभु, ये देश की जनता है, सब जानती है।
And this brings me to the legitimate question. Is the Sabka Cabinet for Mazboot Bharat Cabinet for Mission 2024? Let's first get you live updates from our reporters. We're joined by Amit. We also have our senior editor Megha joining us in the broadcast. I first want to go across to Amit. Amit, दिन भर की सुगबुगाहट जो रही वो आपने हमारे दर्शकों तक पहुंचाई, लेकिन सबसे महत्वपूर्ण बात, ये सबसे महत्वपूर्ण जानकारी है, वो भी सबसे पहले हमने हमारे दर्शकों को टाइम्स नाउ पर बताई कि कल 5:30 से 6 के बीच कैबिनेट रिशफल होगा। जोर यंग फेसेस पर, नए चेहरों पर है और साथ ही इस बात की भी पूरी कोशिश मोदी सरकार कर रही है ये नया लुक एंड फील सिर्फ दिखने में नहीं हो, काम में भी हो, परफॉर्मेंस में भी हो।
जी हाँ, देखिए, और यही वजह है कि परफॉर्मेंस सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है, क्योंकि पिछले जो 2 साल का अगर कामकाज को देखें तो जिस तरह से प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने एक तरह का ऑपरेशन किया, आप उसको ऑपरेशन इस लिहाज से कहेंगे कि करीब 2 हफ्ते तक उन्होंने 5 से 10 लोगों के ग्रुप में तमाम मंत्रियों से मुलाकात की, उनके एक एक चीजों की बारीकी से समीक्षा की गई कि उन्होंने काम क्या किया है, किस तरह से उस काम को आगे बढ़ाया है, क्या उनकी सोच है, क्या आइडिएशन लेवल पे है। तो बहुत बड़े लेवल पे उन्होंने इस बात को एक तरह का की समीक्षा, एक असेसमेंट कार्यक्रम चलाया। सबसे बड़ी बात कि प्रधानमंत्री अपने मंत्रियों के कामकाज से बड़ी संख्या में जो मंत्री है, मैं इसको साफ तौर पे कहूंगा कि बहुत नाराज थे। उन्होंने अपने कैबिनेट की बैठक में अपने मंत्रियों से यहां तक कहा कि उनको अपने PSUs के बारे में जानकारी नहीं है, उनको अपने मंत्रालयों के बारे में जानकारी नहीं है। यहां तक उन्होंने कह दिया प्रधानमंत्री ने कि अगर आपको लगता है कि आपसे नहीं हो पा रहा है तो आप आराम से जाइए, लेकिन अगर जरूरत पड़ेगी, अगर आप रहते हैं और बाद में मुझे बड़ा फैसला लेना पड़ता है, कड़ा फैसला लेना पड़ता है, तो फिर बाद में कोई बोले नहीं मुझे। और मुझे लगता है ये कड़ा फैसला लेने का वक्त आया है। जब कल शाम को आप जब देखेंगे तो मुझे लगता है कि आपको मेजर चेंज मिलेगा। परफॉर्मेंस सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है, क्योंकि वक्त बहुत कम है। प्रधानमंत्री का फोकस इस बात को लेकर है कि कोविड की वजह से करीब 2 साल का समय, 1.5 साल का समय निकल चुका है। अब अगले 3 साल में बहुत सारे काम करने हैं। तो जो तमाम मंत्री हैं जिनको भी लिया जा रहा है या फिर जो मंत्री बचेंगे वो इसी आधार पे बचेंगे, जो कम समय में ज्यादा परफॉर्म कर पाएगा वही मंत्री बचेंगे। नया लुक होगा। और सबसे बड़ी बात कि अलायंस पार्टनर्स को जगह मिलेगी। आपको जेडीयू के कम से कम 3 तय अभी माने जा रहे हैं। जेडीयू कोशिश कर रहा है कि 4 बर्थ उनको मिल जाए जो 16 सांसद के अनुसार, तो वो भी एक चल रहा है। लेकिन अलायंस पार्टनर्स को भी इस बार जगह पूरी मिलेगी।
मोदी सरकार की भी कोशिश है कि सहयोगी दलों को भी अकोमोडेट किया जाए। अमित, आप बने रहिए हमारे साथ। लेट्स गो अक्रॉस टू मेघा नाउ। मेघा, young faces and bright minds, that's how I am summing up the information that is coming in so far about the cabinet expansion that will take place at between 5:30 to 6 tomorrow. Take our viewers through the parameters that were taken into consideration. We have been told that the government this time around has decided to, take into consideration experience of these individuals in their states, and educational qualification is also being given importance. Megha, you'll have to unmute yourself. Okay, Megha, there seems to be a problem in the audio. I'm not able to hear you, but thank you very much to you and Amit for joining us. We'll move on now and go across to our guests.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
Let's open this up and go across to our guests. Tonight we're joined by Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP. Times Now's contributor Shehzad Poonawala joins us. We have a spokesperson of the JDU, Abhishek Jha, with us. Vivek Sehla, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, is also joining us on the broadcast tonight, along with Sanjay Jha, suspended Congress leader and political analyst Ashutosh. Good evening to all of you. I first want to come to you, Abhishek Jha. कुछ अंदर की जानकारी हमको दीजिए, क्या बातचीत चल रही है? Are you expecting a cabinet berth or are you expecting cabinet berths and 2 MOS berths as well, as per sources?
Just give some time, you'll get the actual data, what is happening all around. See, here our leader, Honorable Nitish Kumar ji, mentioned it very clearly that it is the special prerogative of the Prime Minister that when he wants to expand his cabinet, whom he wants to include and whom he wants to exclude. Our National President, RCP Singh ji, also mentioned it that we are a natural alliance of the NDA. We are a very strong alliance of the NDA. The people of India have given mandate to the NDA. And it is but obvious that we are going to participate in the cabinet expansion. But what would be the numbers? Who would be the faces from JDU when these things will take place? It is all about future. And we think that you people should wait for some time, as you are the one who are going to deliver this information to the entire nation. So things are all okay. There is no issue. There is no so-called page between the Gathbandhan we are having. We should wait for some time, and we are looking forward for a better future of the entire nation as well as Bihar.
In fact, I think Nitish Kumar's statement made it all clear as far as JDU's stand or demand is concerned. He said, let the Prime Minister take a decision. Whatever the Prime Minister decides will be acceptable. Now, I want to go across to Mr. Vivek Silas. Mr. Vivek Silas, as per sources, the information that we are getting here, the inside scoop on the cabinet reshuffle and expansion, the government is planning to reduce the average age of the cabinet, give more importance, induct more young faces. The emphasis is on their educational qualification, educational background as well. Women are getting more representation. Why are you dismissing this massive shake-up and saying that it's only for the polls?
Yes, Swati, very good evening. Right now, what the correspondent of Times Now just said on TV, Mr. Amit was there. He said the PM Modi said that the minister didn't have any knowledge about their PCUs and their department. That is Times Now that was reporting. Well, it's the prerogative of the Prime Minister of India to expand his cabinet. But if the induction of new minister can solve the enormous problem, right now what the country is facing, problems like inflation and unemployment, sinking economy, prices of diesel and petrol, corruption, law and order, especially in UP, if it is solved, we welcome it. What is the problem? And second thing that we think is, we feel that it's just being done in the fear of losing the UP election, as the West Bengal elections are recently lost. We saw how the Nishad party and the Apna Dal bullied the Bharatiya Janata Party recently. But now they want to please them, that is all. In UP, if you see the central government minister, let me make a point.
Sanjeev Verma,
in UP, if you see the central government minister, I'll give you two
you were
examples.
bullied into accommodating your allies. I'll come back to you, sir. Let's take a counter from everyone quickly. I'll come back to you. You can raise the point when I come to you next.
You know, Swati, while it is very nice of the media to sort of talk about the potential cabinet reshuffle and cabinet expansion, I'm sure you will understand my limitations. You know, I obviously cannot talk much on it, but having said that, I can certainly say with a lot of confidence and with full authority that the prerogative to rejig the cabinet, to induct new members, to go in for an expansion is solely the prerogative of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And, you know, going by media reports, if it is to happen tomorrow at 6 p.m., let's wait and watch rather than jumping the gun. But what the Samajwadi Party panelists said, that, you know, people from the Nishad Party and Praveen Nishad, whose name is doing the rounds, he may find a cabinet berth because he's put a gun to the Modi government.
Sanjay Nishad.
In terms
no Praveen
of
Nishad. Sanjay Nishad.
You know, please, can I just finish? Can I just finish? Wait for your turn.
No, he was just
all I want to say,
yes, finish your point.
All I want to say
right
is that if you know Narendra Modi in the last 7 years, he does what he does. You cannot have a my way or the highway attitude with Prime Minister Modi. He's driven by the principles of inclusivity, having gender parity as one of the pillars on the basis of which he functions. And of course, if the expansion happens, there will be representation from various states, demographic groups, women, youngsters, professionals. And I think if you look at the Modi cabinet in 2019, for the first time in post-independent India, Swati, you had 78% of the cabinet ministers who at least had a graduation degree, which was not the case under Manmohan Singh, not the case under Jawaharlal Nehru, not the case under Rajiv Gandhi, not the case under Indira Gandhi. So I think the fact that you have an educated cabinet, the fact that for the first time you saw technocrats like Hardeep Puri and, you know, External Affairs Minister Mr. S. Jaishankar being roped in, this clearly tells you that meritocracy is what is ruling the roost in the Modi government's overall scheme of things.
All right. All right. I want to bring in Sanjay Jha now. Sanjay Jha, experience, educational qualification and performance, of course. These are key factors that have been taken into consideration. Now, over and above all of this, the message is Sabka Saath and representation from all the communities. Then why is the opposition so quick to dismiss it even before the new cabinet ministers take oath, even before the new cabinet ministers start working, dismissing it that the government is only trying to win UP polls, they're just eyeing the upcoming assembly polls. Why can't this be seen as an attempt to create a mazboot cabinet?
Well, Swati, there is an elected government. The Prime Minister has every right to choose a new cabinet or add members or ask some of them to leave depending upon their performance. And, you know, ultimately the reality is that India has had a massive governance deficit, which has frankly got worse in the NDA too. Look at the terrible COVID mismanagement that has happened, resulting in the death of lakhs of innocent Indians on account of institutional apathy, which I would call has led to the government being accused by many as having blood on their hands. Nobody has even talked about the economy, because the economy is actually in such a serious crisis today that you have record unemployment, agrarian distress.
This is not the topic of the debate.
Can I just answer? I don't know why is the lady interrupting me here. So there
Let
are
him finish. I'll come to you for a counter.
There are serious challenges for the government. I do not, however, agree with the criticism being made against the government that it is giving representation to different people for elections. The truth is, and I do understand politics well enough to tell you, one of the purposes of these cabinet reshuffles is to make certain people more visible in the public light, because it does affect the campaign if there is an election. That's real politics. I don't want to comment on it. But the bottom line is this, Swati. India is today struggling on practically every front. And this government has in its performance has been underwhelming, and it has underperformed, if not altogether non-performed. So whether it is a non-performing asset or this government is a performing liability, let the people of India will judge. But the government has a right to reshuffle itself, and hopefully things will get a little better.
Okay, now Shahzad Poonawalla, I want to come to you because Mr. Jha spoke about the pandemic. Can the entire blame be put on the center? Also, why don't people talk about the various relief measures that have been announced by the finance minister to support MSMEs to provide a boost to the economy? Should that not be taken into consideration?
Absolutely. First of all, to link this particular cabinet expansion and possibly cabinet reshuffle to a mere reaction to the COVID second wave would be extremely foolhardy, simply because if you see on a larger perspective, even today the popularity of the Prime Minister remains unparalleled, and there can be any kind of measurement or matrix taken to measure it. So there is no threat to the image or the popularity of the Prime Minister. But having said that, let me make a few points. On the one hand, you have a picture of the cabinet vistar, and on the other hand, you have the picture of the Congress Vibhajan. The Congress would do better, rather than wasting time on who is Modi taking, who is Modi not taking, to manage their own affairs in Punjab, Rajasthan, and in Haryana, where they are, completely in a crisis situation, and the governments in Punjab and Rajasthan, by the way, are not performing in some great manner as far as COVID management is concerned. Every day there is a new story of mismanagement and corruption emerging. Now, coming to the cabinet itself, the Prime Minister's formula is a pragmatic formula. Let me explain what pragmatic formula means. Pragmatic formula means P for performance, RA for regional aspirations, M for merit, G for gender equality, T for talent, I for inclusivity, that is SC, ST, OBC, and C for competence, both political competence and also the competence on the terms of delivering administratively. So this is the pragmatic composition of which. Now this is not being done merely because some elections are coming. Yes, you can say elections are coming, therefore representation given to you, but then you're saying, 1 second, just 10 seconds more, Jyotiraditya Scindia is being inducted. Why is he being inducted? What election is there in Madhya Pradesh? What election is there in Assam? Sarbanand Sonowal may be taken. What election is there in Maharashtra? So these are choices also because Prime Minister has a vision to give young people. Let me give you another example. All the chief ministers, look at them. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister below 50. Pema Khandu below 50. Uttarakhand Chief Minister below 50. Mr. Dhami, who's just been elected as the Chief Minister there. You have a range of Chief Ministers who are below the age. So the Prime Minister wants to push women power. He made 8 women governors. He wants to push SC, ST, OBC. He's himself an OBC. Right. He wants to push youth. There are so many chief ministers who are younger than 50 years old, and this is he wants to make a new India cabinet, and that is the entire agenda that he's fulfilling.
Okay. It's a new India cabinet, Ashutosh. It's a new India cabinet, a young, dynamic cabinet where the representation will be from specific regions as well, coming in from states where there are no polls or polls have recently been concluded. For example, North Bengal in the state of West Bengal. So why is this being linked to polls?
No, I completely agree with Shahzad, whatever he's saying. But a simple caveat that it's a brilliant cabinet, except they are allowed to work. The biggest handicap of this cabinet is that this cabinet is led by Mr. Modi, and Modi is known for extreme centralization. Even you talk to the top cabinet minister, off the record, they will let you know that how their secretaries are changed and how they are not allowed to work. This is the only cabinet which can compete with Mrs. Gandhi's cabinet, where all the cabinet ministers were just a non-entity, because every decision was taken by the Mrs. Gandhi and by the Prime Minister office. Today, the similar model is replicated here. So I don't doubt the educational qualification of this. I don't doubt the energy of these ministers. I don't doubt the regional balance. I don't doubt the political savviness of them. But the issue is, will they be allowed to work? Now, how can I have with the three unprecedented crises this country is facing, the unprecedented health crisis? If anybody is trying to justify, can justify. But everybody has seen the dead bodies floating into the Ganges, not in one or two, but in thousands. You see the unprecedented foreign policy crisis, and we have a minister called Jaishankar who had an extremely good record as a diplomat. And then there is an economic crisis. And this economic crisis,
I never Okay, I think you should take a counter now from Sanju Verma.
I usually never interrupt, Swati. You know my
Okay, I think we should take a counter. You've leveled so many charges and asked so many questions. Okay, I think let Sanju Verma respond to this.
I need to come in.
There is a reverse migration. The brain drain is happening.
Swati, may I
Let Sanju Verma come in, please.
Arvind Subramaniam, Arvind Panagadia.
Yes, go ahead.
Swati, you will have to now
all of them
ask him to keep quiet, please.
Swati, I'm not using these kind of language used by the BJP spokesperson. Please ask her to keep quiet. Her turn.
You know, what is this?
Speak.
Why is this man whining all the time?
Okay, one second. Ashutosh, take a counter, please.
I just
Ashutosh,
told
take
you
a
to
counter.
keep quiet for a while.
Yeah,
Stop
Sanju.
getting offended at the drop of a hat. Stop getting so itchy.
Please, I did not ask you to keep quiet. So I was.
Okay, all right. Let's get back to our debate, please. Let's get back to our debate.
I don't need your permission to speak.
Okay, one second. Let's get back to the debate, please.
Learn some manners.
Yes, let's get back to the debate. Sanju Verma, go ahead.
Thank you. Swati, you know, I am amazed that the Congress, or rather the suspended Congress leader said that, you know, BJP has seen a governance deficit, there's a talent deficit. Let me remind the Congress and its acolytes, right from Himanta Biswa Sarma to Pema Khandu to N. Biren Singh, who's now the Chief Minister of Manipur, these were all ex-Congress teams who were never regarded with even an iota of respect by the Nehru-Gandhi Parivar. Right from Rita Bahuguna Joshi to Jagdambika Pal to S.M. Krishna to N.D. Tiwari to even youngsters like Jyotiraditya Scindia, the Congress has seen people leaving lock, stock and barrel, not because they are power hungry, but because their voice was never heard. And on your panel, if I may take the liberty of saying, somebody as articulate as Shehzad Poonawalla has also borne the brunt of this. Now let me tell you one more important thing. You know, this whole narrative about governance deficit, I just want to say one thing. During the Congress-led UPA 1 and UPA 2, Swati, we had 78 GOMs, group of ministers, and 16 EGOMs. And we had Sonia Gandhi-led National Advisory Council, an extra constitutional body which used to take all decisions, with Manmohan Singh being the puppet Prime Minister. I still remember what Time magazine wrote about him, the underachiever, and what Independent wrote about him, Sonia's poodle. So I don't think the Modi government needs a bhashan from Congress acolytes about talent deficit or governance deficit. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas is not a mere slogan for us, but something that is an abiding work ethic that we believe in and work towards.
All right.
Swati, can I react?
All right, quick counter from Sanjay Jha. This government is all about maximum governance. If the Prime Minister keeps a track of what his cabinet ministers are doing, you allege that this is centralization of power. Nothing will happen even if the faces change. If the Prime Minister does not take stock of the situation, you'll say he does not know what his cabinet is doing. The cabinet, in fact, does not work under the Modi government.
Swati, what is the truth? The truth is you have had two successive governments of the NDA with an absolute majority. And they have turned out to be mammoth disasters. I have no problem in conceding the fact that Mr. Modi's government is a past master at headline management, sound bites, PR, marketing events. But look at the data. I can argue with anybody on data and tell you whether it's jobs, whether it's the GDP itself. Look at the neighborhood policy China has encircled India. We are the the worst at the moment performing country in COVID management after America, which is, by the way, getting out of it. India is still down a rabbit hole. I mean, you have to have some audacity. I mean, the BJP and its supporters like Shehzad.
He cannot lie.
Some thick-skinned
He's
passion
rapidly lying.
to be able to
We
come
have
and with a
vaccinated
straight
more than
face
35
look
crore
on a
people.
television.
I just want him to finish his point. I'll take a counter from Shehzad. No, let him finish his point.
Sanjay Jha, you are hallucinating.
Let him finish his
More
point.
than 142
Let him finish his point.
want to take COVID technology.
Let him finish his
We are
point.
making
Please,
it
please.
open
Sanju,
source.
Sanju, please. Sanju, let him finish his point.
We have
I will give you an opportunity to counter. Let him finish his point. No, Sanju, please, 1 second. Let him finish. Let him finish.
You seem to
Sanju,
be
let him finish.
hallucinating.
Sanjay Jha, finish your point.
So Swati, the truth of
Okay,
the matter
finish your
is
point.
that
You
I
seem
have
to be
not even
hallucinating,
mentioned-
Sanjay Jha.
I have not even mentioned the fact that today the world is talking about it, including India, not just about, the institutional murder of a Stan Swami, but they're talking about how Indian democracy and constitution has gone under a serious threat. So this is a disaster.
Also talk about the charges. Also talk about the charges against Stan Swami. The world is also talking about the vaccination drive of India. Why are we only looking? Why are we only? No. Then this is extremely selective. I want Shehzad Poonawalla to come in.
Being an apologetic person for somebody who was actively involved.
Shehzad Poonawalla, come in.
Let me just articulate a couple of them. Now, Mr. Sanjay Jha takes 2-3 parameters and let's address them one by one with facts. Sanjay Jha says that, look, colossal damage has been done in the second phase. My dear friend Sanjay, who hails from Maharashtra, from Mumbai, a proud Mumbaikar, he knows that Maharashtra has been contributing 1/5 of the cases and 1/3 of the deaths ever since the pandemic began. Today, Sanjay, the Congress-ruled governments in 4 states are contributing nearly 60% of the cases. Uttar Pradesh का 25 करोड़ आबादी है, वहाँ पे 150 केस आ रहे हैं रोज के, और महाराष्ट्र की आबादी उसकी 1/2 भी नहीं है, और उस दिन वहाँ पे 9,000 केसेस. आप बोलेंगे कि उत्तर प्रदेश. 1 second. So let's I did not interrupt. Sanjay, now you're behaving very unfairly with me. I never interrupted you. I never interrupt Ashutosh also. Let me complete, then you come. Now you will say underreporting of deaths. So let me tell you, Sanjay Jha, the underreporting of deaths is an allegation made on Rajasthan, it is made on Chhattisgarh, it is made on United States also. By the way, there are University of Michigan reports saying that United States has underreported by 35 to 65%. So that is also a reality, but you all will not articulate it. Now, secondly, Ashutosh Ji, I used to respect him a lot when Mr. Ashutosh was a great journalist. Now, Mr. Ashutosh Ji, tell me one thing. You know so much that is happening within the Modi government कि इतना centralized है, इतना control है, काम करने नहीं देते मोदी जी. अरे सर, जो कांग्रेस में आपको दिख रहा है, वहाँ पे तो लोग कह रहे हैं चीख कर कि सुशील कुमार शिंदे बोल रहे मुझे बोलने की आजादी नहीं है, गुलाम नबी आजाद बोल रहे कि we are not able to articulate our thoughts, and you are saying that Modi government is not allowing them to work. Then why are people leaving Congress party and joining Mr. Modi? Is he such an autocratic person and if he's not allowing anybody any space? In fact, it is Narendra Modi who is giving an opportunity to young dynamic leaders. That's why you tell me 5 leaders who are under 50 and have potential in Congress party, and I can tell you 10 leaders under 50 who have a potential in Modi government or in BJP. This is the difference. This is what we should be discussing, Sanjay and Ashutosh.
Can I speak, Swati?
Can I come in?
Allow Ashutosh to counter that point.
Yeah.
Allow Ashutosh to counter that point.
I think Sajad didn't listen to me properly. When Sajad spoke, I complimented Sajad and I said this is a cabinet with the brilliant people, with all the educated, with big degrees. I have no problem with that. And I also said this government, this cabinet is also represents a lot of political balances. There are a lot of bright people. I have no quarrel with that. My central point is unless they are allowed to work. And the whole world knows. And I compared it with Mrs. Indira Gandhi's cabinet. So where is the quarrel? I'm not quarreling with it. The simple point is this is the government when Mr. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister from 2004 to 2015, 27 crore people were lifted out of the poverty line, and today in the last 2 years, 22 crore people have gone down the poverty line, and again. The GDP, which from 2004 to 2011 were hovering on 8 to 9%. Today, within three years' time, the whole economy has collapsed. In 2014, we started by 8%. By 2019, it is 4%. And unemployment is
the way the pandemic.
There is
the way the pandemic has hit us as well.
Swati, let me complete. Before COVID, I'm not blaming this government for the economic collapse during the COVID. Before COVID, 8 consecutive 8 consecutive quarters, the GDP has gone down from 8% to 4%. And during the 2019 elections, the
Okay, now Ashutosh, you'll have to take a counter.
unemployment rate at the 45, all-time high unemployment rate. This is what the Modi government
Okay, cabinet ministers are not being allowed to work. Not being allowed to work. Sanju Verma, please respond.
No, Swati, I have already said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi gives ample latitude and leeway, and that is the reason today we run the world. And I hope the other panelists who are anti-Modi are listening to this, and so is your audience. This narrative about talent deficit and governance deficit is a whole lot of hogwash. Point number one, we run the world's largest financial inclusion scheme called Jan Dhan, with more than 43 crore bank accounts open, of which over 50% belong to women beneficiaries. We run the world's largest healthcare insurance program, which has benefited more than 1 crore people, called Ayushman Bharat. During the pandemic last year and even this year, we are running the world's largest food security program, Swati, where every month we are feeding 81 crore people with free ration. 81 crore people means 2.5 times the population of the United States of America. And now for those who talk about GDP decline, let me tell you that even before the pandemic struck, the world saw two cataclysmic events. One was the Great Auto Slowdown, which originated in Germany, Japan, spread to China, India. And auto industry is a lead indicator of which way the economy moves. The second thing that happened before the COVID pandemic was the great trade wars between US and China, which affected world output and world trade by anywhere between 13 to 18% as per the WTO, and had effect on all countries, including India. What Sanjay Jha and Ashutosh will not say is that today we have the world's third largest forex reserve at $609 billion. We pulled in last year $64 billion by way of FDI, which is a 27% growth year on year. The 7-year inflation number of Modi government is only 5%, vis-a-vis 14% during the
Okay, I have to wrap up. But Sanjay Jha, I would want to know what is so funny. You've been laughing. What is so funny?
Yeah, Swati, let me answer. Good. Thanks for asking me that question, because I was just restraining a more boisterous laugh. If all that the BJP spokesperson is saying is gospel truth, why is it that India's poverty levels have actually got worse? 97% of Indians are actually worse off today than they were a year ago. And let us not try and give any brownie points to the government. Pre-pandemic, India was already being considered a basket case.
We have given 16.8 lakh crore by way of direct benefit transfer to vulnerable groups, including farmers, migrant laborers, women, self-help groups, so on and so forth.
Okay, that's all the time I have. These claims and counterclaims will continue. The most important development is the cabinet reshuffle. The government claims it sends out a message of Sabka Saath, more space being given to young ministers, young faces, bright minds, and the critics continue to question the cabinet reshuffle, saying that the government is only doing this keeping in mind the polls. We're taking a very short break. Thank you very much. Sanju Verma will continue with us.